Hello. Welcome to the Kathy J Show, everybody. I am Kathy J. Thank you for letting me come into your houses and hang out with you this half hour. It means a lot to me. You know, this show, I say it all the time, this show is for us. So thank you for showing your support back to us by watching. I really, really appreciate it. And also, thanks for going to thekathyjshow.com. You can go there any time of the day, catch up on anything that you may have missed. I love the fact that you guys are going back and rewatching old shows because that means that we're saying stuff that you like to hear. So, perfect. Okay, so today, everybody get ready because we are going to talk about suicide and healing from suicide. We've had a few shows on suicide because I just want to help as many people as I can. Those of you that might be thinking about it, as well as those of you that are trying to heal from losing a loved one to it. So here's some crazy statistics, everybody. Did you know that 54% of Americans have now been touched by a suicide loss? And here's another staggering statistic. Everybody sit down for this one. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in the ages of 10 years old to 34 years old. As young as 10 years old, kids are dying by suicide. That hurts my heart. That gives me goosebumps. It's so sad. Like, I can't even imagine. And here in Colorado, we are ranked 4th in the nation in the number of suicide deaths. 4th, everybody, okay? So that's why we're doing another show on suicide. Okay, and look, I get it. I felt the pain. Like, I could cry right now when I think about the pain that I've had in my life because life is hard. Life can definitely get you down, and I'm talking to you right now. Life can even kick you when you're down. You know, like the water keeps going over you. Cars run over you when you're down. Life can really run you over. But one person's struggle is not the same as somebody else's. So it's hard for some of us to understand, why would it be that bad that someone would choose to die by suicide? You know, during my career, my radio career, I had a weekly hour-long public service show, and I got to meet a lot of wonderful people. So hi to everybody out there that I got to interview over the years. But it was wonderful people all going through their own struggles, and every week we had a different topic. So actually it was kind of like training ground for the Kathy J Show because it's different topics about what we're going through in our community. Well, 2 moms came in one day to talk to me about a suicide awareness walk that they were putting together. The one mother had lost her son as a teenager, and he seemed like the brightest, coolest, smartest kid, and it just hurt my heart, you know? And then the other mother, she was there. Her story was a little different. She had also lost her son, bright, amazing, smart kid, as a teenager to suicide. And she and her husband then grieved his loss together. And then 2 years later, her husband, the son's father, died by suicide. Like, the poor woman, I couldn't imagine what she was going through. And she spoke about guilt and loss over her son. She spoke about guilt and anger with her husband. There were so many emotions, so raw, so confusing. My heart still aches for that mom. My heart aches for any mom who's lost their child, any parent who has lost their child. I can't imagine, okay? My heart aches really, though, for parents that lose their kids to suicide. I can't imagine the pain of emotions that you have to go through. And today, my guest is brave enough to share her story with us. My guest is a mom who lost her son to suicide, and she's here to tell you what she learned about healing and moving forward. So please, hang out, give her a Kathy J Show welcome, and let her share her story with you. We'll be right back. Kathy J. Ramos Law is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. He's a medical doctor and a lawyer. Ramos Law, what makes us different makes us better.
This is the pillow.
Yeah.
And this is the water behind the pillow. Okay, I got it.
You got it? Everybody's got it?
Okay. Oh, get this out of here.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Smile.
Oh, that's great. Oh, you're
And
the best. And you got to send me these because I do all sorts of social media.
Perfect.
Lots of social media.
Send them on. Send them on.
Good. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Good. Oh, good. Good.
And there's supportive Tom taking a picture with
Hey, ask us how long we've been married.
How long have you been married?
54 years.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
Congratulations. Do you need her to count? Welcome back to the Kathy J Show. Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about the aftermath of losing somebody to suicide and the healing that can happen as we try and move forward. You know, it's not easy. It's not easy to talk about, but we're talking about it because we want to help as many people as we can out there. Author and speaker Elaine Kenley is here. She is going to share her story about her battles, the ups and downs of dealing with suicide. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Okay, so you wrote a book, Finding Peace After a Suicide Loss. And in the book, you start by just saying nothing prepares us for a loved one's suicide.
That is so true.
So tell us your story.
We were just a normal American family.
Yes.
I mean, we had a great marriage. We had 2 children.
Yes.
Everything was wonderful.
Yes.
The 2 boys were different.
Yes.
The older boy was Matthew.
Matthew.
He was a melancholy child.
Oh, there's Matthew.
Yeah.
He really got that 80s feather hair down. I mean, that's a good feather, I must say.
He had beautiful hair.
Yes,
beautiful
he did.
hair. He was about 15 years old on that picture.
Uh-huh.
And but he was a melancholy child. His glass was never full, and school was hard for him. He felt he didn't have any friends, and of course, once you get to high school,
It's hard.
it's hard, and he made a lot of wrong choices.
Okay.
His friends.
He chose the wrong friends.
He chose the wrong friends. He did get involved. I mean, in those days it was marijuana, but you know, that led to others,
Right.
other substances.
It was a
and
gateway for him.
It was, and we didn't see it.
Okay.
We didn't see it. Although we had Matthew in psychological care at
You
age
did?
12.
Oh, okay.
But even finding a child psychologist at that time, and even the therapy, the drug therapy. But, you know, once they get to be 18, the doctors will not let you in on the therapy.
Oh,
Or
because
when
they're
the
an adult.
appointments are.
Oh, yeah.
So Matthew would come and go. He had nobody to hold him accountable.
Right.
And often he didn't go. And he just got in a terrible slump. Actually, he went missing
Whoa.
for 2 days.
Okay.
Tom was very frantic about finding him,
Right.
and I wasn't, because I was trusting God. God was
Right.
going to heal Matthew,
Yes.
and it was all going to work out fine. Well, 2 days later, Tom found him, and he was hanging from a tree in the woods near our house, about a half a mile.
Sorry, Tom.
And Tom, it was a hard thing.
To see that.
Yes. And I was at church teaching a Bible class.
So you're a very faith-based woman, and
am.
and in faith they tell you, you know, you're supposed to, God, please help my child. They're on the wrong path. God, please bring the, you know. So when this was the ending, how did you deal with God?
Oh, that's a great question.
Well, that's what everyone struggles with.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was very angry at God. I had literally 2 weeks prior to Matthew's death stood under a rainbow and thanked God that he was healing Matthew.
Yes, right. That's how you're supposed to talk.
I know. Well, after that, I said, all right, if this is how you are, you know, there's that gulf of disparity. This is what I believe, but this is what really happened.
Yes, why did you do this?
Yes, so
right.
it was why, God, why, and I got so angry at God. I got angry at everybody. And I just put God on the back burner. You know, though, I would still go to church.
Okay.
And you know what I did when I was in church?
What?
I counted the ceiling tiles. I knew there were hundreds in this row and 332 in that row.
So you knew you had to be there, but you couldn't hear the message coming.
Well, we had a younger son.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about
Nathan.
your younger son, your awesome
Yes.
son, Nathan.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
there you are. So did Nathan feel like he needed to go above and beyond to fill a void after Matthew died by suicide? What was his journey like? What was your journey as a parent? Did you push him away to let him have freedom to say whatever you want, just stay alive, you know, or did you go? You can't go anywhere.
You can't go anywhere.
Right. I will choose your friends.
He was a teenager.
Yes.
So and we lived on a lake, and I didn't even want him to go swimming
Yes.
or take the boat out to water ski. That's dangerous. And then, of course, 15, you start learning how to drive. I mean, I was dying inside because.
How did you work through it?
Oh, I prayed a lot then for Nathan. I never prayed for myself. I felt I wasn't worthy. I felt I had failed as a mother.
Wow. But
You're a
now you
mom,
did
aren't
it.
you?
Yeah. I mean, that's the guilt that I would have is, what did I do? Why didn't I, when she was sad, why didn't I try to lift her up more? Those bad friends, I should have said, no, you can't see them. But, you never know as a parent. That's the hardest part is there's no rule book. And everyone is different with their personalities. And however you address the situation can either cause damage or lift them. It's so hard to be a parent.
Well, I searched myself. I blamed myself. I was the mother. Why didn't I see it? Why didn't I stop it? And I looked back all the way to when he was a baby. Did I not feed him right?
Right. You went far back. Yes.
I was the queen of guilt, and I stayed there for years. I was angry at God. I was angry at myself. Sometimes I was angry at my husband.
I was going to say, a lot of couples end up divorcing after their child commits suicide.
The statistics at that time was 94%.
Whoa! And now you guys have been married 54 years. You were just saying, all right. I know. Love wins.
Hey, love wins and grace wins. Forgiveness is such an important part of the healing.
Yeah, no, yes, I agree. But one more thing, how do you deal? Is the forgiveness what pushes that gut anger feeling when you think about him not being here? Not seeing a family that he could have had, not seeing what he could have become.
You grieve for the future.
You grieve?
You grieve for
exactly
the future. Right. In fact, and I was so envious of my friends. Here their children were going on to college. Matthew should have graduated in a few weeks. Their children are going off to college. It was a hard time because I wanted Matthew to go to college, and I wanted to see his children. I wanted to be at his wedding.
Absolutely, absolutely.
When we got invited to weddings, I couldn't go.
Right.
I refused to go. And of course, that hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
And it's taken you a long time to process. You said all of the different levels. You said there's six levels, and the guilt, the anger, everything you've been talking about. Blame.
I blamed so many people, and then I harbored that.
Absolutely. But then it came to finally, decades later, you finally were able to get it into a book.
Yes.
And that's where we're going to come back, everybody. When we have to take a break, Elaine.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for
You're
being
welcome.
so brave, you and Tom here. So when we come back, everybody, we're going to talk to Elaine, and she's going to share how she was able to start healing, moving forward after losing Matthew. And we're going to also talk about the book and how she can help you. We'll be right back, everybody. Oakwood Homes is an official partner of The Kathy J Show. Oakwood Homes, building happiness. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're covering the aftermath of what happens after death by suicide, and it's time to talk about healing. And Elaine Kenley is here. Did I say it right
that
time?
Yay!
Sorry, Tom. Elaine is back to talk about losing her son Matthew. I do have one question, and I'm sorry if I overstepped, but did Matthew leave a note? Did you know why he passed away?
Matthew left a note.
He did?
He did.
Okay.
It was a beautiful note. It was a kind note. It was a loving note. And he never faulted us.
Wow.
He said, you were the best parents you could possibly have been, but he did also not tell us why.
It was just, a lot of people, it was just pain he couldn't get.
It's the pain. He felt he never could succeed at anything. And so it was just too hard for him, I think.
So when you started going through all the grieving process that end up in finding peace, there was rebellion, there was the anger at God we discussed, the guilt, the shame. Was there, what turning point? You're going through all these emotions. You said some of them you held on to for years at a time.
Yes.
We're now 20 years later, and you still are processing the death of your son.
Yes.
What's the turning point? Was there a turning point that made you go, okay, now I can see a future again?
Yes.
What was it?
And it was interesting because I'm a morning person. Sometimes I get up, it's dark still, 4 in the morning, but there I am with my coffee cup.
I love the morning when everyone's asleep.
Yes.
And it's just quiet.
I know,
it's the best
dark.
time in the house. Yes.
And I was in a dark place. Maybe that was all part of it, but there I was. And my Bible happened to be open on the kitchen table. Not that I was reading it all that much.
Were you reading it? Okay.
So there it was, and I was surprised to see it. And I sat down, and it was almost like it was illumined, because it was that little story where there's this man lying by the pool of Bethesda for 38 years.
Yes.
Crippled.
Because his legs couldn't work.
Crippled.
I know that story.
Right,
Yeah.
and he couldn't get to the water because nobody was there to help him.
He had a lot of excuses as to why he couldn't get better.
Yes, and all those people, he was blaming those people who got there ahead of him. And there is Jesus just standing there listening to him, and he asks him a question. Would you like to get well? And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I put my coffee cup down, and I said out loud to myself, Elaine, do you want to get well? And then I sat there for a few seconds, and I just said out loud, yes, yes. And it was the turning point, because you see, for almost 20 years, I was just telling myself all the negatives. It was that recording in my brain that said, you aren't worthy of healing. You are angry at God. You're angry at your friends. You're angry and you're miserable and you're going to stay here forever.
Right.
I told myself that.
Yes, you couldn't switch that narrative.
Yes.
And finally a sign came and helped you switch it. That's awesome.
What a simple question. People need to ask themselves, do you want to get well?
Do you want to get well? How long are you going to hold on to these memories and the bad things that happened to you?
Now, did that mean, excuse me for
go ahead. Go. Yeah, Elaine. Everyone, it's Elaine's show today. No, I love this. This is exactly what I want. Go.
Here, there was no lightning bolt. I didn't change overnight.
No, you don't.
No.
You have to put in the work.
Yes, I took little baby steps. But at least now I was saying, yes, Elaine, you're going to get better. You're going to be well. You will find joy again in your life. And that's what I write about in the third part of that book.
And do you know, by every time you saying, you will get better, Elaine, you're going to find joy, that is your faith coming back.
Yes, it took me a long time. I had to begin with just prayer and shouting at God.
Right. Okay.
Putting my finger in his chest.
Now, yes, it's right. So you say your favorite chapter in the book is forgiveness. And we talked about that. You got to give forgiveness and be able to receive forgiveness.
Yes.
Why is that your favorite chapter?
Well, it's your hardest task, but your greatest reward.
Yeah.
And here's what I had to do, because I had so many that I was angry at, and I had to sit down one day and really think about it. Who are you still angry at, Elaine? And I wrote a list. It was a long list. But imagine thinking about Matthew didn't die by a gun, but imagine if someone had sold your son a gun. Wouldn't you put that person on the list?
Yes, absolutely, I would.
Right. I would. I put everybody. Some of Matthew's teachers, I wrote
everyone
their name
he would
down.
have talked to that
The
didn't
doctors.
step in. Yes, everyone.
His therapist, his psychologist, they were all on the list.
Okay, so the list is as long as a Christmas shopping list. Yes. What do we got?
And who was at the top of the list, do you think?
You?
Me.
Wow.
I had to forgive myself. I was a good mother. And I'm so full of joy that I have a younger son, Nathan, that always said to me, you're a great mom, you're a great mom.
Yeah, right.
He reinforced that for me, which was such a joy.
Yeah.
So I just had to say, Elaine, give it up. I couldn't use the word forgiveness. Isn't that strange?
Yes, it is.
I thought, I'm never going to forgive. But I could say, I'm going to give it up. I'm going to let go.
Let go.
And then your heart can be filled with something happier.
Right. You have to empty the bucket of the pain and start refilling it with happy thoughts, which would be your grandkids.
Yes.
Yes. Your life with Nathan, you and Tom.
And Kayla.
Yes. There's so many other joys in life that you just have to keep holding on to.
Exactly.
And I'm so grateful that you came and shared your story with our audience. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you have, final thoughts in a moment. But real fast, you close your book with these words: resist, resolve, rejoice. I think that's what we've done today. You've definitely shown you resisted, but I want to rejoice when we come back. So we'll be right back, everybody. To connect more with Elaine, head to her website, suicidehealing.com. Elaine has a weekly blog as well on her website. Check that out every Monday morning. I want to be on it this Monday morning. You can also find her book on Amazon. It's called Finding Peace After a Suicide Loss. Shout out to Matthew up in heaven. We love you. We'll be right back. All right, everybody, this is kind of interesting, but now we have to switch gears to the Colorado Lottery because it is our trivia question of the day. So everybody, let's get in with the Colorado Lottery. This week's question, you ready? Elaine, maybe you can answer this. How many scratch games does the lottery offer? We're going to find out after the break. How many scratch games does the lottery offer? We'll be right back.
Kathy J.
The Colorado Lottery is an official partner of the Kathy J Show. Colorado Lottery, play on. Welcome back to the show. Now, before the break, I asked you how many scratch games does the lottery offer? And the answer is the lottery offers up to 50 scratch games at any given time. Plenty of chances for you to play on and win, everybody. Okay, so it's almost time for me to say goodbye. The half hour goes by so fast, but you can always see me after the show at kathyjshow.com. Elaine, thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Tom, for coming as well. And thank you for your heartbreaking honesty. Thank you for letting everybody know that they don't get stuck, that it's not about getting stuck. What final words would you like to leave my audience with?
That is exactly the thought I'd like to say. Resist the temptation to stay stuck in the pit of bitterness, anger, just the grieving process. You just got to get it out. You cannot stuff it down. I did that for years and I was miserable. So resolve, make a mental effort to change your thought process.
Yes, absolutely.
You do not deserve to stay in the pit. You deserve to be healed. Rejoice in the fact that you will find joy again in your life.
Thank you so much, Elaine. Everyone, have a good one. Thank you so much for being here. God bless. Thank you so much.